Have you ever had your entire world unravel in the time it takes to read a single text message? I remember the exact sound of the rain on the window. I remember the cold feeling of the phone in my hand. That one message didn't just end my marriage, it started a war I never saw coming. If you've ever felt blindsided, if you've ever had to find a strength you didn't know you possessed, you're not alone. Stick with me. And if stories about navigating impossible situations resonate with you, please consider subscribing. It helps more than you know. Let me set the scene for you. It was a Tuesday afternoon, gray and wet. The kind of rain that just never lets up. I was at my desk, lost in a spreadsheet, the glow of the screen the only light in the room. My phone buzzed. A text from Clara, my wife of 16 years. I honestly thought it was about what to get for dinner. Maybe a funny meme. My smile faded as I read the words. They were so cold, so final. Mark, I want a divorce. All communication needs to go through my lawyer from now on. Details to follow. That was it. 16 years, a lifetime of inside jokes and shared mornings and weathering storms together, reduced to 3 clinical sentences. I just sat there. The spreadsheet blurred in front of me. I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. I felt this physical pain, a hollow ache right in the center of my chest. But cutting through that pain was this bizarre, icy calm. My hands weren't shaking. My mind became crystal clear. I picked up the phone and I typed back one single word. Understood. And in that moment, I made a decision. She wanted this to be a legal transaction, not a conversation between two people who had loved each other. So I would give her exactly that. I would play by her new rules, to the letter. This wasn't about anger, not yet. This was about survival. She drew a line in the sand. I decided I would not cross it. The first thing I did was financial. We'd always kept our main accounts separate, a lesson I learned from my parents' messy divorce. But Clara had supplementary cards on my accounts. She was an authorized user, not a joint owner. I opened the banking app on my phone. My thumb hovered over the cancel card button. For a second, I saw her face, laughing as she used that card to buy a silly ornament on a trip we took. I took a deep breath, and I clicked it. I reported her as an unauthorized user. Done. She also had a monthly allowance I had transferred to her personal account for her spending money, for her art supplies, her coffee with friends. I canceled the recurring transfer, effective immediately. It took me less than 30 minutes. It wasn't revenge. It was a simple, cold statement of fact. The marriage is over. The financial perks that came with it are over too. Next, the little things. The shared life we'd built online. The Netflix account we fought over what to watch on. The music subscription that played our road trip playlist, all in my name. I logged into every single one. I clicked log out of all devices. I changed every password to a random string of characters I wouldn't even remember. If she wanted to watch her shows, she could call her lawyer and figure it out. She had chosen no contact. This was the ripple effect. About an hour later, the lawyer's details arrived in my inbox. A Mr. Davies. I didn't write back to him. I forwarded the email straight to the best divorce attorney I could find, a woman named Sarah Jones, a friend had recommended. My email to her was simple. My wife, Clara, has requested all communication go through her lawyer, Mr. Davies. I'm complying with her request. I need your counsel immediately. I was building my team. I was following her rules to the letter. I finished my work project. I drove home. The house was empty. Not just quiet, but hollow. She had already been there. Closet doors stood open, her side bare. She'd taken her things, but left little ghosts of herself behind. A book she was reading on the nightstand. Her favorite cereal in the pantry. I slept okay that night, surprisingly. I think my body was just too exhausted from the shock to stay awake. For 3 days, nothing. Just silence. And then, 72 hours after that text, my phone rang. A number I didn't know. I knew who it was. I answered. Hello? A sharp, impatient voice on the other end. Is this Mark Evans? Speaking. This is Mr. Davies. I represent Clara Evans. My client is experiencing some significant difficulties. Her credit cards have been declined. Her funds have been cut off. This is highly irregular behavior during a separation. I could hear the frustration in his voice. He expected me to be apologetic, scared. I took a breath, my voice level and calm. Mr. Davies, my wife texted me on Tuesday demanding a divorce. She stated very clearly that all communication must go through you. I acknowledged her text and I have complied. Our informal financial arrangements were a part of our marriage. The marriage, according to her, is over. Therefore, those arrangements have ceased. Any future support will need to be formally discussed. Through you and through my attorney, Sarah Jones. There was a long, long silence on the other end of the line. You could hear the gears grinding to a halt. He was completely thrown. Finally, he sputtered, "She needs funds now, for necessities, for accommodation." I replied, "Where is she staying, Mr. Davies?" He snapped back, "That is not pertinent. You have acted in bad faith. My voice got cooler. My wife ended our marriage, unilaterally via text message. She ended the status quo of trust. She set the rules of engagement. We are now operating by those rules. Financial support will be determined by a judge, not by frantic phone calls about declined cards. Another pause. Then, stiffly he said, my client will be seeking emergency financial relief. I said, that is her prerogative. Please direct all filings to my attorney, Sarah Jones. Do you have her contact details? He clipped out a yes. I said, excellent. Then this conversation is concluded, per my wife's directive. Good day, Mr. Davies. And I hung up. My heart was hammering in my chest. Adrenaline was coursing through me, but underneath that, there was this fierce sense of validation. She wanted cold and legal. She was getting it. The personal attacks started soon after. Her best friend, Chloe, called me. I answered, hoping for some shred of humanity, maybe an explanation. Mistake. Mark, what the actual hell? She yelled into the phone. I was tired. Hello, Chloe. Don't Chloe me. She's on my couch. She's a wreck. You cut her off. She couldn't even buy groceries. What is wrong with you? I kept my voice even, though it was hard. Chloe. Clara demanded a divorce via text. Her instruction was lawyers only. I respected her wishes. I'm not discussing finances with you. You know she barely works, Chloe cried. Her part-time design gig doesn't cover anything. How is she supposed to live? She's terrified. I said, then her lawyer and my lawyer can discuss a fair support arrangement. That is the process she chose. Chloe shot back. She was emotional. She made a mistake. And I said the words that became my mantra. Instructing lawyers only is a very specific mistake, Chloe. She set the rules. We follow them now. She spat back. She'll take you for everything you have. I just said calmly, she can try. It will be filed legally. My attorney handles it. I'm not discussing this further. Goodbye. And I hung up. So, according to her circle, I was the villain for following instructions. The narrative she was spinning was one of pure victimhood. It was infuriating. It got dirtier. I got a call from my HR department, an anonymous complaint. Someone alleged I was misusing company resources for my divorce and that I was behaving erratically. It was a low blow designed to threaten my job, my stability. Thankfully, my boss knew me. He knew my character. HR checked the logs, found nothing. They dismissed it, but it showed me how far they were willing to go. My lawyer, Sarah, told me to log it, document everything. It showed a pattern of bad faith. Then her mother called. Tears, accusations. Mark, how could you do this to her? After all she gave you, all those years? My heart broke a little. I liked her mom, but I stayed firm. She chose this path, I said, my voice soft but steady. The lawyers will handle the financials just like she requested. I can't discuss it with you. She called me heartless before she hung up. It was relentless emotional warfare. They truly thought I would just keep paying, that I would cave to the pressure and make it all go away. My response was to become a fortress of logic. I stuck to the facts. Their tactics just made me more determined. Sarah advised me to go on the offensive, strictly by the book. We sent a formal letter about the car she drove, which was leased and insured in my name. Temporary support was set. She could take over the lease or return it. I would stop payments on the next cycle. Her problem to solve within the legal framework. We filed for exclusive use of the marital home since she had voluntarily left. We pushed for immediate financial discovery from her side. I had a suspicion there were things she wasn't revealing. And you know what? I was right. During the formal discovery process, we learned Clara had a separate savings account her parents had contributed to over the years, and a small stock portfolio she'd inherited. It wasn't a fortune, but it was more than the destitute image her lawyer was painting. Mr. Davies argued it was separate property, but my lawyer proved some marital funds had been used to maintain it. The judge took note. The final settlement came after 6 months of trench warfare. There was no big, dramatic courtroom scene. Right before a contested trial, facing a judge who was growing impatient with her tactics and the fact she hadn't been fully transparent, Clara agreed to our terms. The asset split was nearly 50-50. Spousal support was time-limited, 2 years of rehabilitative alimony, enough to help her get on her feet, not enough to fund her old life. We each paid our own legal fees. After it was all over, I heard through the grapevine she'd moved into a small apartment. She was working more. Her friend Chloe had distanced herself. It's hard to carry a friend who refuses to take responsibility for their own choices. There was never an apology, no moment of clarity where she said, I shouldn't have done it that way. I think she still genuinely believes I was cruel for not quietly bankrolling the new life she wanted without me. But for me, the satisfaction wasn't in winning, it was in surviving. It was in discovering that I could be strategic under fire, that I could uphold a boundary even when everyone screamed at me to cross it. This wasn't a Hollywood revenge story, it was a slow, grinding story of consequences. She wanted formal and legal. She got it, in its entirety, with all the cold, hard financial reality that comes with it. And that was enough. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to stand your ground when everything was falling apart, leave me a comment below. I read them all. And if you want to hear more about finding your way through the dark, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Your support lets me know I'm not just talking into a void. Thanks for listening, truly. It helped to tell it.